Listener implied shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert Show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from experts on such topics as legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to our experts in community association law, estate planning law, tax relief, Medicare, public insurance adjusters, neuropathy treatment, business brokers, and personal injury law, along with many other topics. Now here's your host for the last 17 years, Steve O.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show. We're, for like the man said, for the last 17, almost 18 years now, we have been providing some of the greatest experts. And this morning's show, I think he knows a little bit that he is like one of my favorite shows. We get so much mail about this show. Our numbers on this show are off the wall, but the letters that I like the most are the letters that go, your show's not long enough, because trust me, we get so many pieces of mail, people going, your show's a little long. Now, our shows are only 25 minutes, and we do have some 50-minute shows, but gosh, when you have people writing you saying the show's not that long enough, and I look at the numbers, how long people stay on to watch the show, this is truly one of our best shows. Let me welcome to you my friend, attorney Lance Drury.
Good morning, Steve. I think I just saw you a little while ago.
We did our Friday show for Missouri and Tennessee, two of our greatest markets, and we saw what was happening with this show, and we said, you know what, we've got to do a national show. Let me tell you, Lance Drury, what he has created, he has taken, he calls himself was a small town lawyer. He has created this monster. He's now in St. Genevieve, Nashville, St. Louis, San Antonio, Tennessee, Houston, and he's still growing.
Well, I hope so, Steve. I'm still young. I'm in the prime of my life. I want to keep growing the business, and we're doing just that. We're rearranging some of our marketing, so I expect things are going to explode by the end of the year. We're having great months in the summer, and that's unusual.
Right.
My media guy out of Louisiana, he negotiates all my radio contracts. He said some other people, they kind of slow down in the summer, but we don't. You know, I'm sure we're going to be higher, but we've had some of our best months. Last year, we set a record in June, and we had an even bigger month in August, and we're doing great this year already. So we just want to help as many people out as we possibly can. That's why I'm still working. I don't need to work, Steve. But, you know, I was telling you earlier, I got up at 20 after 4 today. I've been here since 5:30. Last week, I was in here at 5:33 mornings. I went to St. Louis Saturday. I did some work Sunday morning for a couple hours. But, you know, I'm really driven to help as many people as possible, because you can't go up against the IRS yourself. They're just going to eat you up and spit you out if you're trying to do this on your own. And you need an attorney that does this. You need somebody who's versed in argumentation and negotiation. You need somebody. This is not a job to me, Steve. This is my vocation. This is my purpose for living. I've always been on the side of the little guy against the big bad government. First, I was a public defender. Now I'm doing this. Steve, I'm the guy that saves Fay Ray from the clutches of King Kong.
You know, Ray, I have to bring this up. I'm going to bring it up towards our beginning of our show, because, Ray, I mean, so many people who've been, I'm going to say, screwed by some of these companies you see on TV. And they think even that all companies are like that. And what I want to get across so badly on this show is there is a firm like yours that's going to be there from the start to the end. And it's not going to take weeks for them to get callbacks because people are scared when they're up against the IRS. And you take such good care of your clients.
It's important to us, Steve. Yeah, there's a lot of bad actors out there. I tell everybody, if you don't hire me, there's 3 rules. Hire an attorney that does this every single day. Accountants are great with the numbers, but 90% of it is what they do is tax preparation. We've all seen, everybody in my firm has seen accountants give horrendous advice to their clients about how to deal with the IRS because they just dabble in it. Number 2, go local. We got local offices here. We just don't have one spot and you call from all over. Obviously, we do take clients from California, New York, Louisiana, but those people get a hold of us. We're not marketing in those areas. And number 3, don't hire one of the big boys. There's a lot of scam artists out there. The industry gets a bad name because of it. They never tell you up front how much you're going to spend. We tell people that. We tell them exactly what we're going to do. But Steve, you don't pay me the big bucks and I wave a magic wand and it goes away tomorrow. It doesn't work like that. And I'll tell you why. The IRS is so screwed up. They don't have enough people. The ones they do have are not trained properly. But boy, they sure come after you when they need to levy you. So everything we're spending more time on getting cases resolved just because the IRS is in such bad shape.
You know, we just got a question on YouTube. A gentleman wants to know, he said, I'm ready to take that next step to hire your company. Can you tell me what is the average time? I understand that every case is different. What is the average time it takes you to finalize a case?
Well, in this day and age, Steve, it's going to take 9 months to a year unless you got a revenue officer and they want to work quickly because they want to get the cases out of their inventory. But for us, it's normally 9 months to a year, and a lot of it depends on the client. It depends on the IRS as well. But, if you've got unfiled returns, how long is it going to take you to get all the returns prepared? And if we need financial documentation, which we will, how soon is it going to take you to get us the financial information? And then once we go through it, we're going to need documentation for certain categories of expenses. I tell everybody in the initial consult, we're in this together. This is a collaborative effort. I have certain responsibilities to you, but you have certain responsibilities to yourself. If you want to get a deal out of Uncle Sam, it's a lot of work for us. It's a lot of work for you, but that's what you have to do if you want to get the best deal possible out of Uncle Sam.
And I think honesty is also very important. They need to be totally upfront with you.
Absolutely, because there have been situations where people tell me their financial situation. I call up the IRS and I'm trying to negotiate a settlement. And they've got 10 rental houses that they never told me about. Well, I didn't think I had to list that. Or I've got all these annuities. Well, I didn't think I had to list that. It says it on the form. You cannot hide information from the IRS. You've got to we play by the rules. 85 to 90% of our clients never pay back the full amount, but we do it the proper way. We don't, we're not going to do anything that's going to jeopardize our bar license. We're above board. We're ethical. We're going to do it the right way. There's a lot of ways to skin a cat with the IRS. That's why 85 to 90% of our clients never pay back the full amount. But you got to do it the right way. You got to be ethical about it. Your clients got to be honest with you, or you're absolutely right. We're not going to be able to help them out.
I got to tell you, I think 30% of the questions we get are about that Fresh Start program, people wanting to know if it's real and how does it work.
Well, Steve, it's a term of art. It's not actually a program. It started about 2012, 2014. It did make it easier to get an offer and compromise. It did raise the level from 5,000 to 10,000 before the IRS could file a lien. But it all boils down to, do you have the ability to pay these taxes back? I just can't call him up and say, Joe's a great guy, let's give him a fresh start. Steve, if that happened, I'd be in the Caribbean every weekend in my villa. It just doesn't work like that. That's why I work every Saturday and Sunday. It's a term of art. They try to suck you in with that. And here's the other thing. And I don't know how many people listening this has happened to, but it's happened to a lot of my clients. They'll get a notice. It looks like it's an official notice from the IRS. There's no physical address. It's an 888 number, and it says at the bottom, we can settle for 10 cents on the dollar. They know what you owe because the liens are public knowledge. They're filed with the recorder of deeds. So these people go in, they see what you owe. We'll settle for 10 cents on the dollar. So you owe 100,000. They're going to tell you at the bottom, we can settle for $10,000. It's a scam. They haven't done their homework. Everybody's financial situation is different. And until you go through financial statements with people, you don't know what your client's ability is to pay on the back taxes. Like I said earlier, you got to watch who you hire. If you have any qualms about my firm, we're a 4.7 out of 5 Google reviews in St. Louis. We're a 4.9 out of 5 in Nashville. I've been featured, in a number of publications. I've given speeches across the country. I've co-authored books. I won an award 10 years ago. We're the real deal. So, you've got to get your problem solved. So either call me or some other tax professional if you prefer to do that, because we can help you out. You got to get your problem resolved, because the IRS is starting to collapse the time before levies. They can come after you and wipe out your bank account, take 90% of your take-home pay, 100% of your 1099s, 15% of your Social Security. But once it gets into your bank account, they can take 100% of it. So don't mess around with this. You got to get this taken care of.
Lance, I think one of the greatest things that your firm does is once a person signs with you, they no longer have to talk to the IRS. And if people who are just getting notices, you do not want to talk to the IRS yourself. You can cause yourself so much damage, but it is so important, Lance, that people understand that they no longer have to talk to the IRS anymore.
Well, it's not just that, Steve. It's a condition, and it's in our engagement letter, that the client will not talk directly to the IRS, or we will revoke our power of attorney, because then we don't know what's going on. And then the IRS guy will tell us afterwards, oh, well, this is what your client said. The client denies it, but we can't argue with them because we weren't privy to that conversation. And I have seen so many people, Steve, who just mess their cases up because of what they told the IRS directly. It's unbelievable, the stuff people will tell them. It's like talking to the cops if you're charged with a crime. I got to give you a small example here, Steve. Years ago, I had a guy owed $40,000 or a little more. So he paid me. I got him into currently non-collectible. We write them a closing letter, and we tell them in that closing letter, every year the IRS is going to write you a letter and tell you what they owe, but they're not coming after you. They're not going to levy you as long as you abide by the agreement. And he was in currently non-collectible. He didn't have to pay him anything. And so he got one of those letters. And before he called me, he called the IRS because he panicked. And he agreed to pay every last dime of that back. And he's not the only person I've represented all these years who has just screwed themselves because they tried to do this on their own.
Lance, how does the IRS contact people?
Normally, the first contact is going to be by letter. They're not normally going to call you up. The first contact is normally a letter, whether it's by a revenue officer or whether it's by the automated collection system. If they're going to audit you, it's always going to be by a letter first. So, there's a lot of scam artists out there. So you got to watch that out. If anybody calls you directly, you better check it out. You better call me or somebody else, because I had a guy once. He got a phone call. He was local from St. Genevieve. St. Genevieve's only 4,400 people. And he doesn't come into my office the next day. He sent him $3,000 the day before because they said, we're going to arrest you if you don't pay us. So the next day they called him again. So he came into my office. I said, give me their phone number. So he gave me their phone number. I called him up. And as soon as I identified myself as an attorney, they hung up on me.
Oh.
They are not going to come out and arrest you. That is not how this works. They're going to send you a letter first. So you got to watch out. There's a lot of scam artists out there. And if you don't get screwed by the IRS, you're going to get screwed by the scam artists. This is another reason why you should not do this on your own.
Yeah, Lance, we get so many people say, hey, I got an email from the IRS, or I got a phone call, a recorded phone call from the IRS. Those are probably all scams, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah, so you got to watch it. And they're even sending emails out to people. And these are scammers, and they try to make it like it's coming from the IRS, but it's not. So you got to watch it. This is why you don't want to try to do this on your own. It's not going to turn out good 80% of the time if you try to do it on your own.
So I also want to emphasize, Lance also works with businesses. That's a pretty good portion of your business, isn't it?
Steve, I'd say 70% or more of my business is small businesses. Those are the people that get in trouble because the taxes aren't automatically taken out. Everybody thinks running your own business is the American dream, but there is so much paperwork, so much regulation that, these people are great at what they do, but they don't do great at running their own business. But the other problem is, and this is what happens with small businesses, particularly in bad economic times, somebody goes belly up on them, doesn't pay their bill. So they pay their suppliers, they pay their employees. They think they're going to catch up on their payroll taxes the next quarter, and it just kind of snowballs. So that's the other problem, is that small businesses, most of them don't make a whole lot of money. You got to fund your own retirement. You got to pay for your own health care. And then the IRS takes advantage of you. And most of the time, those cases get assigned to a revenue officer. And here's what happens. One of two things, two big mistakes. They try to do it on their own. So they'll go in, they don't want to get levied. They set up an agreement. It's for every last dime. So they pay on the agreement, but they don't have any money left over to pay the current year's taxes. So the liability just mushrooms. It goes up and up, and then they're in worse trouble. You got to make the estimated tax payments first, then you get a deal with the IRS. And so that's one of the things that you got to watch on. And the other thing is, if you get a revenue officer, you get a 9297, which is a summary of taxpayer contact, and they want all this financial information from you. Well, they all think they send everything in, but it's confusing, it's complicated for the average business owner. And so what happens is they get levied, then they call me and they said, I sent everything in. We get involved, we find out that they didn't. And then they have to hire us at that point to get the levies lifted. And so, this is the problem with trying to do it on your own. And the revenue officer is not going to call them up and say, You didn't send me everything, because at the bottom of the agreement, it says, we're going to levy you if you don't send us everything. And so that's what they do. They don't do that with us. So you can't do it on your own.
We have a couple minutes left. This is the best question. I had about 30 more, but I'm going to take this one. And Lance is going to be with us 2 more times this month. Here's the question, and it's from San Antonio. It's from Lily in San Antonio. She said, why should I choose your firm?
You should choose our firm because we're top notch. We go the extra mile for people. You know, I have 2 attorneys in San Antonio. They work 7 days a week, particularly Amir. They work evenings. You know, we have a great track record. I've told you before, our Google reviews are great. I've won a national award. We have 1,000 clients at any one time. There is no way, Lily, that I'm going to have 1,000 clients if I don't do good work.
Yes.
You know, 15 years ago, before I started this, I'm 72 now, so I'm in my mid to late 50s. I had 60 clients at any one time. Now we're at 1,000. You don't get to 1,000. You don't get to open new offices all the time if you don't have the ability to do good work. You can't grow the business from 2 people to 12 people or more without doing good work. So call us. We can help you out. Go to my website. You'll see all kinds of good stuff there, and we'll take care of you.
Lance, I got to tell you, I love doing your show. You've brought us so many new listeners because the way you communicate about your firm, you have a website, don't you?
LanceDruryLaw.com. Go there. You'll find all kinds of useful information. And if you need to know more about the firm, just go there. There's plenty of information about everybody in my firm.
You can also call 888-367-6512. Lance, we so appreciate you. We will see you soon, and we're also going to see you the last Friday at 2 o'clock Eastern time, and we'll be getting out the date for your 3rd show. Lance, thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve. It's always a pleasure.
It's attorney Lance Drury. That's going to do it for us today. We'll be back again with you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern time. See you then.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.